That documentary is so good, and you're right. I mean, I can't wait till the next one. But it's so good because it really showed you how athletically he was revolutionary, because he was so much better than those guys. I mean, he got so much better between 81 to 82 to 83, and then 84. I mean, he was sick, but he was just he was just so much more athletic than those guys, and he showed it in his last year in college, his junior year in college, how much more athletic he was. And then once he got into the league, I mean, obviously right now everyone's athletic, but he was like the Babe Ruth of the NBA player. That's how far ahead he was athletically than those guys.
Yeah, the thing is, looking back at it and watching it, he was thin, but he was so strong. I remember him putting his arm on me one time and just like knocked me off balance. I'm like, God dang! But looking at the on TV, The Last Dance, and he was a thin athlete, but he was one of the strongest guys in that body type. And it was probably because of the will that he had. He obviously had the skill, but the will that he had is just remarkable. And he did it every single night. I mean, you look at it, even like his last year, even in Washington, he was 40 years old, played, I think, 80 games and averaged 39 minutes and scored 20 points a game.
Right.
You just know that, I mean, the guy was dominant. He could have, it's crazy. He could have, and he probably should have been MVP the 10 to 12 times. It just, you just got tired of it, I guess, the media or the voting members of the voters for the MVP. But, on a bad year or so-called non-MVP year, you average, 32?
Right.
7 rebounds and 6 assists. The guy was, and on top of all that, he was the best defensive player. I mean, he was the best defensive player. I know when I played against them, you got one wing, you got Pippen defending one of your players, and they got Jordan defending the other players at the point guard. You didn't know who to pass to because they were so quick, and they would just like be lurking in the weeds and all of a sudden jump out of nowhere and take the ball and go down. Now you got a 2-on-1 break against you. You have no chance of stopping that.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you could argue they had the 3 best defensive players in the league on the same team, or close to it.
No, they did. I mean, Dennis was as good as a defender in the post or perimeter and rebounder there ever been in the game. They had a run. I always say, Jordan's probably my second favorite player. Olajuwon was the first because he gave me a championship ring, and Jordan was the second because he gave me a championship ring because he retired from post-baseball experience that he's had. But yeah, that team. I mean, it's just weird how you when you was going through it with. I mean, when you were in the league at that time, you didn't really pay attention to all of it because it wasn't out there. You had to read the paper the next day or watch a show at night after the highlights. But it's crazy that team was about to break up or broke up. That team should have rolled out, until they lose, and then maybe even play one more year to kind of redeem themselves of that losing, that championship, run that they've had. And it's changed now. That will never happen in today's game. I mean, you will ride that thing out as long as you can, just kind of like what the Warriors did.